You're 16, kneeling on a stained concrete bay at a quick lube, hands burning from hot oil, making about $16.50 an hour changing oil on a 15-minute corporate stopwatch. You're doing entry-level lube tech work at a place like Jiffy Lube, where current data puts the average U.S. Jiffy Lube technician at about $16.64 per hour, with some markets dropping closer to $11. You're watching your manager ring out tickets for jobs that bill far more than you'll ever see on your paycheck. You think the way out is simple. Move up, get certified, buy real tools, become a master tech, and one day own your own shop. That's what the industry sells you. What nobody mentions is the tool truck, the flat rate time clocks, the subscription paywalls on every piece of software you touch, and the injury rate that hits roughly 186 non-fatal injury cases per 10,000 automotive service technicians in a single year. That giant toolbox you drool over? A 54-inch Snap-on Masters Series roll cab lists north of $11,000 brand new before you put a single wrench in it. Surveys show more than half of auto technicians expect to invest over $60,000 in tools over their careers. And some veterans end up at $60,000, $80,000, even $100,000 in personal steel and chrome. You don't buy that with savings. You buy it with a signature on a truck that shows up every week. You have no idea yet that the person who actually walks away with the big check, the mid-six-figure exit, won't be the one under a car, but the one tracking labor margins on a spreadsheet. You just know this. You're in the game now. If you like breakdowns of how careers actually progress, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. You start at the bottom, in the lube pit, where time is literally a product line. The shop sells an oil change as a 15-minute unit, and the managers track your throughput like a fast food drive-through. The going wage for this level? About $16 to $17 an hour in many markets, pegged right where the national average sits for a Jiffy Lube technician. In cheaper states, you'll see postings and reported pay around $11 an hour for the same job title. Your tools here are basic and mostly belong to the shop. A pneumatic gun, drain pans, tire gauge, some shared ratchets. The upsell is where you're told the real money is. Cabin air filters, wiper blades, differential services, corporate prints, laminated scripts that tell you exactly when to pitch a cabin filter inspection, while you're still burning your knuckles on the drain plug. The math is insulting. A full-service oil change might bill out at several times your hourly wage, and you're still stuck at an entry-level rate that rivals retail and fast food. You watch cars cycle through and realize how sensitive the job is to volume. If it's a slow day, you're still there, but your hours get cut next week. You're disposable, and you feel it. So you start looking up. You see the techs in the big bays with their nameplates on giant tool chests. They don't clock in as lube tech. Their paychecks say B-tech or technician. They talk about flat rate. They talk about hours, flagged. You listen and you decide. You're going there next. You get your shot at a dealership. New building, clean floors, uniforms with your name stitched on. You sign the onboarding paperwork, and buried in the handouts is your introduction to the flat rate system. Under flat rate, you're not paid for time spent. You're paid for time booked. If the labor guide says a brake job pays 2.0 hours, you get 2.0 hours. Whether it takes 1 hour or 4, for warranty work, it gets worse. Manufacturer warranty manuals often cut times by a quarter to a third compared to retail. So a job that might pay 1.7 hours to a customer could pay just 1.1 hours when it's warranty. The clock on your paycheck is now disconnected from the clock on the wall. On your third week, the truck arrives. Snap-on Matco, Mac, doesn't matter which logo, they all mean the same thing. Debt. A 54-inch Masters Series Snap-on Roll Cab, KTL 1022 or its cousins, has a list price around $11,300 for the box alone. That doesn't include the side lockers, hutch, or power drawer, and it definitely doesn't include any tools. The rep tells you that a starter pro-grade set of hand tools and a modest box is easily around 10 grand, which matches what career guides say a solid initial kit will cost you. You sign anyway because you're tired of sharing stripped ratchets, Over the next few years, survey data says you'll join the group of technicians who expect to invest more than $60,000 into tools, and many will push that number up toward $100,000. Then, the warranty work starts. A modern engine teardown under warranty, say a timing chain job or a major internal failure, might pay out under 10 flat rate hours on the manufacturer book, while the actual work can swallow 2 or 3 full days of your life. You flag 8.6 hours on the repair order, but you're in the stall for 3 shifts straight. That means you're effectively working for apprentice wages while carrying journeyman debt. You don't just worry about getting hurt anymore. You worry about not turning enough hours. You worry about eating labor when a job goes sideways and you can't bill for the extra time. You start to understand why older techs talk about leaving. You grind through years of this. Somewhere in your mid-20s, you stack enough experience and pass enough ASE exams to earn the title Master Technician. The BLS says the median annual wage for automotive service technicians and mechanics across the U.S. cites around $49,670 as of 2024. Decent, but not life-changing given the cost of entry. You're supposed to feel like you've made it, but the game just changes. You're no longer bolting on brake pads all day. You're tracing down intermittent CAN bus faults, diagnosing parasitic draws that appear once a week, and updating modules that can brick a car if the battery hiccups. The tool set for that world isn't a ratchet and a socket set. It's a rolling electronics lab. Your toolbox is now full of specialized gear: oscilloscopes, breakout boxes, scope leads, and scan tools. The big OEMs put the real power behind paywalls. A Ford factory license for IDS/FDRS, the dealer-level diagnostic suite, runs about $849 per year for a 365-day software license. Toyota's Technical Information System, TIS, offers a yearly standard subscription at about $580, while professional diagnostic access and key security features can push that to around $1,360 to $1,500 per year depending on the package. That's before you buy any actual hardware. If you go with high-end aftermarket, you're still paying real money. A Snap-on Triton D10 scan tool carries an MSRP of about $6,550 just for the tablet. On the lower end of the Pro spectrum, an Autel MaxiSys unit might run around $1,600, and advanced models like the MS909 require annual update subscriptions, often priced in the hundreds of dollars per year. One industry report notes that in 2025, the average professional mechanic in the U.S. keeps between $28,000 and $45,000 tied up in personal tools at any given time. At this level, your tools cost more than your car. The subscriptions alone can rival a year of your kid's daycare. And that's before you consider what the work is doing to your body. Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows that automotive service technicians and mechanics have incidence rates of non-fatal injuries involving days away from work in the range of 166 to 186 cases per 10,000 full-time workers in recent years, far above many office jobs. One safety analysis notes that the broader automotive repair and maintenance sector sees about 3.9 injury or illness cases per 100 workers, higher than industries people assume are more dangerous, like chemical manufacturing or some mining support activities. Behind those numbers are wrenched backs from lifting wheels, crushed fingers from suspension work, chemical burns from battery acid, and knees that never quite recover from a decade of kneeling on concrete. You notice something. Your income is capped by how many billable hours you can flag and how few mistakes you make. But your downside, injuries, tool costs, unpaid diagnostic time, is wide open. You realize the wrenches will never pay you what your brain is worth. That's when you start looking at the office. You jump. Maybe you take over a failing shop. Maybe you buy out a retiring owner. Either way, one day you sign a purchase agreement and become the proud owner of a used 4-bay independent repair shop. You step away from the lift. Your primary tools now are a phone, a CRM, and Google Ads. You're managing techs, not turning wrenches. National market data from BizBuySell's valuation benchmarks shows that auto repair and service shops tend to transact around median sale prices of roughly $410,000 on median annual revenues of about $819,000, with typical revenue multiples in the 0.48 to 1.08 range and a median around 0.67. You're no longer thinking in hours flagged. You're thinking in revenue multiples and sellers' discretionary earnings. The math of the business suddenly becomes brutally clear. A competent technician in your market, with benefits, payroll tax, uniforms, and training, might cost you around $45 an hour all in. To hit a 65% gross margin on labor, the kind of margin that keeps the lights on, pays rent, services your equipment loans, and leaves something for you, you realize your posted door rate has to sit somewhere in the 140s. You see why the dealer across town charges what they charge. You see why your old boss kept hammering you about comebacks. Your day is now a spreadsheet. Technician efficiency, labor hours, sold versus available, average repair order total, advertising cost per new customer. You learn that if a tech produces only 6 billable hours in an 8-hour day, your margins crater, no matter how skilled they are. You aren't immune to the traps. Now you're the one deciding how tight to set the flat rate times, how aggressively to schedule, how hard to push on upsells. The irony stings. For the first time, you can see a path where the numbers add up, but it only works because other people are under the cars. Years pass. You grind through economic cycles, pandemics, parts shortages, and talent wars. You professionalize your operation, standardized inspections, digital vehicle reports, stable marketing. You grow your revenue into that high six-figure range where buyers start paying attention, the same range BizBuySell data cites for median auto repair shop revenues around $819,000 and sale prices in the low to mid 400s. Then one day, your broker calls. There's a buyer, a younger master tech who looks a lot like you did a decade ago. He has savings, a home equity line, maybe a small SBA loan, and he wants out a flat rate. The offer lands near those national benchmarks. A sale price in the low to mid 400s, maybe a bit higher if your earnings are strong and your books are clean. It's not retirement money, but it's enough to reset your life without a creeper, without a torque wrench, without a scan tool subscription renewal email. You walk him through the bays. You show him the lifts, the compressors, the alignment rack. You talk about your customer list, your fleet accounts, your Google reviews. You watch him mentally move his toolbox into your corner office. On closing day, the wire hits. It's the culmination of every busted knuckle, every 8.6-hour warranty job that actually took 3 days. Every week you spent staring at a scan tool screen while the software license clock kept ticking. The money doesn't come from the years you spent under cars. It comes from the years you spent over the numbers. Before you hand over the keys, you take one last slow walk through the shop. There's an 18-year-old kid in the lube pit, shoulders tense, watching the timer on his first solo oil change. He doesn't know your name. He doesn't know the injury statistics, or the average tool investment, or the revenue multiples that decided what your life's work was worth. All he knows is he's making a little over minimum wage and dreaming about a bigger box. You step outside, get into a normal car with no shop logo on the door, and drive home to an empty garage. No toolbox, no roll cart, no wall of chrome. You finally exited the trade. And the ultimate irony is this: the level where you win the game, the level where someone writes you that mid-six-figure check, is the first level where you stop turning wrenches and start managing labor margins.